many people, interested in their lives and in their careers. This was unheard of a few years before, and I think it's excellent for children to have this perspective while they're growing. When I say children, I also include people up until 18, 19 years old. Sorry about that. But one of the main issues, I think, as we grow up is the happiness index of human beings. Somewhere we don't feel comfortable in what we're doing, we don't feel passionate about it, we don't feel fulfilled. And one of the main reasons is that because we didn't put in enough thought to who we are, what we want, what do we need to get there, and what kind of attitudes, abilities, aptitude, values, what do we have within us, and where do we want to get, and how, what is exactly needed for the career of our choice, and how to make that happen. How do we bring our strengths to what careers we want to have in life? I think if that is sorted, we all would be on a path which is chosen by us, and then we will be happy no matter where it takes us. And this series of webinars we're doing just to see how we can help children, students, even adults for that matter, make this connection as to what exactly is needed to thrive in a particular career and not just survive. And once we know that from esteemed people who are in this field working in and out, I think we'll be able to make this decision about, is this for me? And once we know that this is for me, I think we will be able to find out what is in me that I can connect to this. And if I don't have it, where do I get it? And that's where Career Shack comes into the picture, where we will be able to help you fill in those gaps so that you get to the career of your choice. So thank you so much, Jason, for being here. We are really, really thankful that you are with us on this path.
Yeah.
Perfect. Guys, Chetana is actually an education evangelist. She's Dr. Chetana Kenny. She's an educational evangelist. She's also the founder of an progressive school called Orenco Academy. She's been running it for the last 10 years. Through this, she wants to enable and empower a lot more children to be very clear about what they are getting into. So we just joined hands with her in this particular project of ours. So thanks a lot for being a part of it. So with that, let's move ahead. Jason, first and foremost, what we would like to understand from you is, how did your journey begin? Where did it begin in terms of engineering or before that? And how did you choose and decide to be a product engineer? If you could touch on that, that would be like amazing to start off.
So I will just, my voice is clear, right? You can hear my voice. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So like, I will tell you a little bit basic insight about myself and how I was brought up and everything. Because primarily I believe that my interest in industrial product design came with, hanging out with my father in my younger age. So my father is like a typical kind of a guy who's like a jack of all trades. He sees an electrician doing something, he sees a plumber doing something. Next time he won't call the plumber. What he will do is he will do the same. He will do exactly, because he sees what the plumber does. He exactly copies what the plumber does. He tries to learn what and all process goes into, and he tries to do it. All right. So it is something of like he does it as a passion or something like that. He just does it purely for fun. So when he was like making a small, like a small bench or something in my younger age, I remember I was like 4 or 5. So my father was like nailing some. He gave me the hammer, and he asked me to like apply all the pressure in hitting the nail with the hammer. So that's where I got really interested in. So after that incident, I do remember like moving in, taking out all my cars, all my toy cars and everything, and disassembling each one of them and trying to assemble them back. So that was the first thing which I was doing. And like what I was trying to do was I was disassembling everything and I was trying to assemble it back. So like that is where I like immediately learned about new stuff. So whenever I see a new toy or a new small object, I try to figure out how those objects are made up of, how those objects are assembled with, how it works. So I try to find the mechanism. So way before I started learning mechanical engineering, so when I received the computer with my internet, the most of the thing which I was doing was learning how these things work. I was very fascinated on how bikes work, how scooters work. So I was trying to learn more about engines and everything way younger. I remember like 14, 15, 16, I was like remembering, like I was like learning all of this, how engines work and everything. All the like how the 4-bar mechanism works, how the cam system works and everything. So like that was like most like preliminary, I would say, interest that sparked me, and that took me into product design. But I generally didn't go into, like, I didn't know that a term even as an industrial design or a product design even exists. I don't even know that. For example, when I was giving my 10th exam, I do remember in my half yearly exams or something, one assignment was to design a car, in which I was designing something which was like, which it did not have wheels, but it was rotating. So it contained two spherical shells in which the outer shell was rotating while the inner shell was constant. So as the viewer can see, viewer can sit without getting tumbling, without tumbling over. That was one key sketch which I did, which made me to think what should be given there. So I took the inspiration from a cycle like ball bearing. So you have two diameter of metal there, within which we have balls on which it rotates freely. So I got the idea from a bearing. So like, this is how I started doing everything. So I was more of a tinkerer rather than of a designer when I started first. So what propelled me into design was purely need, uh, purely my necessity, my absolute necessity. I will explain how it worked. So when I was in my first year of engineering, so I was just joining engineering. So my parents were shifting from like IFB washing machine to LG washing machine, purely for the fact because the like the IFB washing machine, even though it was good, the service was not good at all. So they were running with different problems. So they bought an LG washing machine, and I asked my father for the old washing machine, and he refused to give unless I give him something in return as a money, because he wanted me to understand the value of money. So what I did, I do remember, we were shifting homes during that time. So I took every metal piece I can find, every unwanted metal piece, all newspapers, all thing. I went to the thrift shop, sold all of it, got 1,200 or something rupees, and I gave it to my father, and I got the washing machine. So that's how it went. So when I got the washing machine, my first goal was to understand how the washing machine works. Then I started understanding. Like I live in I would say Pondicherry is a tier 2 city even. So it is a mix between tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So the main city is a tier 2 city, while the other adjoining area will be like a tier 3 one. There are villages in Pondicherry in Deepa Lake which do not have proper electricity access even. They only have street lights and tube lights. They don't have electricity to their homes. So since I was doing mixed martial arts during those periods, so we were regularly conducting classes for other children, self-defense classes and everything. So since I was in MMA, so I used to go around these villages. I figured out what their actual problem was. So since I was new in engineering, I wanted to do something for them to generate electricity. So I figured out if I can reverse engineer my washing machine, so that see what we do in washing machine is we put the clothes, we put water, we give electricity from the back, it spins the impeller, and it spins and it cleans the clothes, right? So what I actually wanted to do was do it in a reverse way. Rotate the impeller such that the generator generates electricity. That was the thing which I did, which I wanted to do. So I started learning about the basics of electrical designs and everything. I started to learn about, now the main function was, there is an impeller which is inside, but I'm unable to make it rotate with the with water or something which can rotate, right? So I need to make a turbine. So when I searched for a turbine online, it showed me around 25,000 rupees for a Pelton turbine. I was shocked. So I didn't know what to replace there. So that is where my first journey into design is like stepping into it. So I started learning about how to design a turbine, which is something like which comes in third or fourth year in engineering. I started taking those books and from the library, and I started reading it. Much of my teachers or anybody, they didn't support me at all. What they told me in my first year was, go and study what is in the book. Semester exams are nearing. What are you even doing? Only after my constant, only after I constantly went and trusted other staff members, one staff member helped me how to go and search in the library and get the appropriate book. That is how I exactly started learning. So once I did my turbine design, I did all calculations and everything for turbine design. Now I need to make the turbine design. But before making it, I wanted to know whether it is worth making. All right. So I wanted to virtually design it and test it in every way. Not only just design, but also simulate and test it. So that is why there was only one guy in my class who went to a CAT training center outside, and he learned all kinds of design and everything. I think he was learning, or he was he learned. So I remember him saying, I spent nearly 33,000 to learn all these softwares. I'm not going to do it to you for free. If you are going to pay me money, I will design or else I won't. This is what he told me. That is where I was like struck. See, I made all theoretical calculations and everything. I just model to be done. And this guy is refusing. I got like shit furious. See, all my anger was like I turned it into this. Like I switched on, like open YouTube. I saw what are all the free open source 3D modeling softwares are there. I went and saw the tutorials. I started learning one by one. I downloaded the software that night itself. I learned it one by one. In 3 days, I was able to master all the basics. 1 week was all it took for me to master the whole software. Then I moved on to the next software. So that is how I did. So I started learning myself. I designed the turbine. Now what happened was I have to make the turbine. I made all the technical diagrams and everything. I went to a nearby manufacturer. I thought it is going to cost some 1,000 or 2,000. But what he told me was shocking. He was telling me it would take at least 8,000 to 10,000 to make your turbine. I was shocked. Okay. Now, like I can't afford, like I only have 1,500 or something. I can't afford that much money. So what I need to know is a technique to make this. Then I started to learn about how to make turbine designs and everything. I learned that some of their wings can be forged, melted and done. So my material of choice was aluminium. I learned about like what is the melting point of aluminium, 650 degrees Celsius or something like that. It was near 600 to 650 degrees Celsius. I still remember that. What I learned like 5-6 years before, I was like searching everything. So what I started to do was, now I need to make a furnace which can melt aluminium. I know that my college has a furnace. I reached my college. They had an electric furnace. The furnace that they had, it took nearly 2 hours to reach 800 degrees Celsius of heat. So the melting point of aluminium was 600 and 650 degrees Celsius. So only when you sufficiently heat it for 850, it can melt within seconds and you can take it. See, the amount that I wanted was 3 liters of molten material as per my calculations. But the furnace in the college can melt only 300 ml. Okay, so I can't like melt it, keep it in a container and then pour it, because like all 3 liters I wanted at the moment, at the same time. So now what I did was, I wanted to check out what furnace can hold my volume, and it went to nearly 3 to 3.5 lakhs. Now, like I decided, I went to the library and I searched for master books on how furnaces are designed. I took a master's book. I saw some research papers on different furnaces which were being done. I completely designed and manufactured a furnace within 2,000 rupees, which ran on spent fuel. Spent fuel in the sense, if you go to brick kilns, they will push wood there, mostly like from Saukumaram. They tell like, wood called Saukumaram in Tamil. I don't know the English scientific name or something for the wood. They put the wood there, they bake the the bricks and they leave the coal out as a waste. Mostly it goes on in the like rain and it completely goes up as waste. I went and for 100 rupees they gave me a huge 230 kg rice bags. I filled it with all coal and I came. I ran my furnace on coal. The only electricity which was used was just a hair dryer for providing oxygen. I designed a furnace, like in phases of designing the furnace, I made like 3 versions. The first 2 versions I suffered, like superficial burns on all over my skin in my face because it bursted. The furnace literally bursted and I had superficial burn injuries. So after like 2 weeks of rest, I started doing my furnace design again. So after 3 weeks, I was like able to perfect the furnace design. So in 20 minutes, I reached 1,000 degrees Celsius. I was able to melt the aluminium, and I learned how to make a mold. I made my own turbine. All right, and then like this is how it happened. So and I presented it to, so like this was the first round of colleges which I was presenting. I was still in my first year. I was presenting it as a project presentation and a paper presentation in NIT Pondicherry, IIT Kharagpur, NIT Trichy, IIT Madras, all first places. So like it was like a huge shock for everybody because of the research that I had done and the work that I have given, and I went and took in the actual product itself there. So that is when Autodesk was conducting an overall exam through all the colleges that were there. They did a 2D drafting exam, and I was I came out first in the college. Out of 1,000 points, I scored around 993 points in draft design alone. Then they chose me for a 5-day boot camp. that is where they taught me all Fusion 360, all basics and everything. So all happened within 5 days. And the end of the fifth day, they asked us to do the project. And I did the project, and I did all simulation analysis the fifth day. And I was chosen as the India's 2016 India's top 5 product designer. That was my first national award. And I'm in my second year of engineering. So this happened in my second year. During this course of first year and second year, what happened was that I was moving from general engineering to my mechanical engineering branch. All right. So I've got a lot of professors who are hating me already, because the main fact was, from first year I was doing all projects, I was getting all the awards. The department students were not able to get the awards. That was the main point of contention. And see, since I learned all of this outside, right, I never sat in class. I always sat in library. Made sure I made the bare minimum 75% mark. But I made sure when the exam comes, I score above 8 and 10. They'll be like, how did you do it? You didn't attend class, you didn't do anything. See, I tell them I learned everything to design, because I had to learn so much for doing my design. That is why I did it. So that is where my journey started. Like still, when I finished my college with a CGPA of 8.35 out of 10. So when I entered my third semester, like I do remember one college professor bragging to his juniors, this time Jason is completely done. We have put all zeros in all internals. There is no way he can pass this semester. As soon as he gets arrears and everything, he will stop doing all this shit and he will concentrate on studies. So that didn't happen quietly as they figured out, and I got arrear in only one subject, that is BEE, basics of electrical everything. I cleared it the next semester, like I cleared it. So my journey with Autodesk started. I started doing lots of freelancing. One of my first big clients who came from through Autodesk was Bose and Sennheiser. I had to design headphones for them. So that was the first successful project where I was say I will tell my first earning itself, my first successful earning, like as a professional, all right, as a freelancer. So it was 33,000 INR, which came so for my first design. So like I earned a lot during the stage from college symposiums, projects, and everything. So every amount was from 5,000, 4,000. So in a year, I would have earned around 50,000 to 60,000 rupees, mainly because of all the competitions I attended. So like I had like competitions as a business plan for my earning. What I will do is, as he starts, I start making a list of all the competitions that are coming, all listed and everything. I start preparing way ahead for them. I prepare a separate document for them. When the competition starts, I know how it happened last year, right? So when the competition starts, when they release the email ID, I'll be sending my like project document just first. Everything spot on. Like it is like properly automated. I'll go on, win, come. So I made a team. I call the team as drone. So we made 2-3 teams. So we started like getting the first 1 or 2 places. Anyway, so I'll become second, they'll become first, like something like that. All projects which were developed and done by us. So this is how it was going. And KPIT, I hope like many know about the firm called KPIT, right? So they conducted a event called KPIT Spartan. So we became finalists like twice in a row. So if you're not able to win it, like due to the possibility that you're not able to bring out a functional product because of fund issues. They expected us to make a completely functional product, which we were not able to do due to fund issues. So that was the only concern. But we went into top 10 every simultaneously, 2 years. So this is particularly how it happened. So when I near my third year of engineering, so literally everybody knew that I was like damn good in design in my college. So I was the first Autodesk student ambassador from the whole city of Pondicherry. The whole of Pondicherry, the whole of Chennai also during my time. I was the first student ambassador who was there. So what happened was there are 2 subjects, okay, in third year of engineering. So for the first semester, it will be like design for manufacturing, and the second semester will be design for transmission system, something like that. DCS. So like both of this are like one subject which has been divided into 2. So if you are good in one, you will automatically write 75% of the second part, because all are basics. And you don't have to remember formulas or anything, because we get all the formula books. So it is all you refer. You learn how to refer it and you start applying it. You start designing it. So the first subject I got S grade. S grade is something like above 95% in the university. I was one of the 2 H's grades in the whole college for that subject because like everybody knew that I was good in design. The next semester it is coming, the same design subject. When I received my papers, like I was shocked. It was a zero, like it was arrear, like it was a failure. Okay, so I pakka knew that there is literally no way I'm failing in that. Even the HOD didn't believe because everybody knew that I was good in design. How will I fail in a design subject? So, like applied for revaluation, successfully it was A grade. So you see the jump from like A grade is something like 85 to 95%, like something like that. See the jump, it is from arrear to this. Like, I had huge suspicion. Some of my teachers should have got a hold on the paper. They would have like tried to do something. But they like the only thing which I told my like teachers in farewell when I told them all, like I was like, you should have chosen a different paper to put an arrear to me. I wouldn't even have cared. You chose design. If you had chosen any other paper, I wouldn't even have cared. I was like, okay, arrear, like I will try it next time. That is what I have done. But what you did was you did it in design, and like it was a total flop. And I even told them, the next time you want to, get revenge on a student, put arrear on a subject he doesn't even care about. Like probably your plans will succeed. I do remember like all of this was happening, and so in my final year, like I wanted to see my goal and everything was I wanted to work with Autodesk as soon as I finished my college as a full timer. I wanted to work in Autodesk office as a full timer, so I was growing every opportunity to near it. So I was like, let us say I'm like 95 to 90 to 95% nearing that opportunity. All right. So, but a huge shock came during that period of time. I was like, from my national award, design awards, and due to my like the social presence which I created with my designs and everything, I was getting too much of design orders from people. So what I wanted to do was, I wanted to start a company which does industrial product design. So I started gathering all my teammates. So it was like 10 people when we started. So that is how Prototype came in. So I was working in Prototype in stealth mode for 6 months. I was like structuring all the framework, how to process. So when a client comes, what are all the procedures that are there? I was like checking with my whole team. So like all of this in the back end for 6 months we were doing that. So whatever freelance projects that came, we handled in a very professional way, like we do it in a company. So you get practice for that. So Jan 1, 2018, Jan 1, I still haven't finished my college. I like New Year evening 3 to 4 p.m. I still do remember. I announced on social media everything that Prototype is starting everything. That was a boom launch, and after that it was a continuous thing. So like a lot of design orders came. Then I started becoming who I was. So 2019, the past year was like I wouldn't say all the events that happened during this whole phase was a rosy like was in a rosy picture. All right. So I had a lot of hardships as well. So during this time, like most of the designers in Prototype, what we have are not from regular engineering colleges like me. All right. So most of not every one of them are mechanical engineers. Most of them are from National Institute of Design, something like that. So what they know is like only pure product design. So industrial design. So everything will be in a conceptual way. Everything will be in a form feature way. Everything will be in a design thinking way. But when it comes to manufacturing, making sure that the product is being made, that is where they lack. That is when I figured out that there is a huge flaw in how industrial design is itself taught. So how the industry feels is like industrial designers should do all the ideation, design and everything, pass it on to the mechanical engineers who should come up with ways to manufacture it. But this is a long process. For designing something which it will for with the traditional process it will take around 12 to 14 months to 18 months to come into to see a product. But with the approach that I took, with the hybrid approach that I took, with the own design thinking principle which I wrote for our company. So we wrote a 38-step design thinking principle based on only based on the 2-day design thinking course which I had with CIA, with the program that we were having. So it is just based on those 2-day course. But we made a 38-step design thinking principle all based on 2 years of experience. Like modifying everything, monitoring everything. So it is a process that we have as uniform for every project that comes into our company. So this is how it was. So we understood that there is a huge gap in industrial design between virtual design which looks good, aesthetic design which looks good, and between an actual design which can actually be made into a product. All right, that is a huge gap which we bridged, which made us, which made Prototype to be a firm like company which many looked at, which many wanted to come immediately, because the end-to-end process was like very slow, like sorry, very small instead of being very large. It was like very small, and the process was very fast, super fast, because of the hybrid approach we took. So when we work on an industrial design project, it is like this: one senior industrial designer, one junior industrial designer, two mechanical engineers. So this is how a team is structured and formed for one project. So based on the so it is like 1:1 ratio. So based on the complexity of the project, the ratio will might increase or decrease. So we have electronic design team also who might join in if there is an electronic design component that is needed. So that is how we structured the whole company with aspects to that. Like I'm just giving you some pointers on how it is run. So we just don't concentrate on virtually aesthetic design, but much more on like rather much more on practical ones which can be manufactured. And the most beauty of it was when we started, we had an office in Bangalore and we had an office in Chennai. Bangalore office, if we say the office is on 9 a.m., the designers will come by 10:40 because of what happens in Bangalore, and we can't prevent that. Right. So that is when we figured out, okay. So like the same thing it happens, right? We'll ask for one like small corrections and everything by 9. They start going out from office by 5 p.m. and they reach by 6 or 7 or even worse. Then they will tell like, I'm very tired, I'm not able to think. See, you cannot force the designer. If they are tired, if they say, okay, like they will say like, Jason, like some call me Jay, some call me Jason. They will like, Jason, like
ये नहीं होगा मैं से.
They will say I am. Say I don't know if I can use the word in a like I don't know. Kids might also be watching. They like I would say like I am mind sphere word or something like that. Okay. So like it usually like they are not in the thinking capacity to think or something. So that is something which we wanted to avoid, which we wanted to work upon. So we completely changed how we work. So what we did was we made them work remote from from 2018, from April 2018 we started this process of remote working. So only during brainstorm session and everything, the everybody meets offline in the office, just weekly once. See, that's a long project, and if there's a weekly update needed, we will all meet. Otherwise, we all work from home, work from their own place. So we figured out when they work from their own place in their own creativity, they actually the productivity was like 50 to 60% higher than what they will do in the office, because they had their own hours of working. They decided their own hours of working. They decided the own place where they work, the maximum comfortability at what they work. They designed their own music and everything how they work. So this is what something we wanted to give a designer. So like that is, I would say, one like big thing which happened, which actually helped us in this COVID-19 situation. It never like faced anything else. So instead of meeting like weekly once in the office, it was completely different. Meeting once in a week in Zoom. That's it. Zoom or any Skype or anything. That's it. That was the only difference which we had. So later we figured out that this work from home thing can also be put for our electronic design engineers and everything. Because the software which we chose to work upon, I preferred Fusion 360 for a reason. Because at one project, at one specific amount of time, since you're working on cloud, 5 to 10 designers can collaborate on a single project simultaneously, which totally removed the idea of like having all designers at the same place. So I think that is a good addition to what we had. So this is like the basic crux of my whole career in industrial product design. I also directed design. I also did a job as a design director in an IT services company in Chennai, which like was a very bad experience which I had, which I would say I was there for 1.5 years, which completely crippled who I was, completely crippled like my career. Was taking it in a very different path. I fortunately came out of it, and then I started concentrating on what I was doing. So like I think like since that is not a like appropriate place to this is not a like appropriate thing to discuss. Probably if someone is asking about my whole life, like I will also probably take that into account. So that is where I learned. That Chennai IT services company is where I learned the difference between physical abuse, emotional abuse, what and all abuse that can come from workplace. See, they will tell you that you are the director, that you are supposed to do and everything. You will see everything that is happening to make sure that you're not doing the job of a director. They will do everything. So like everything is namesake. So like that is where I learned everything. So I decided, okay, this culture, this thing should not exist in what companies I build upon. Should not exist in what things which I worked upon. So that is where, so like that's a different topic to speak for another day. But the main focus point is this. This is how my like industrial design career has been throughout this whole year. And 2019, I was awarded World's 100 Top Designer. So again, it was a good thing to have to collaborate with other good designers over internet, like to be part with them, to work on societal projects. Because for the past whole year, I was working on a lot of societal projects, like sewage, eliminating manual scavenging for sewage collection, sewage disposal, in garbage bins and in septic tanks and everything. And like I'm also currently working on a project with on eliminating human manual scavenging for removing waste from railways in railways industry. So all of these are pro bono work which I do. Like whatever societal work that I do it pro bono. So this is how my whole career has been. So like if anybody has like any I tried to shorten it as much as possible so that I can I don't speak for a long time. I bring in everything within 30 minutes. I think I managed to bring everything within 30 minutes. Yeah, you can ask me any questions. I'll be happy to answer.
So Jason, you have got yourself a fan from today, which is myself. And apart from that, if anyone in the audience or if anyone had a doubt, or at least if anyone thought that the character of Phunksuk Wangdu in Three Idiots, I guess you're the closest thing I've seen to reality to Phunksuk Wangdu. So really, really good job. I mean, incredible career journey, especially the fact that, you told that the passion of design which you had, you never allowed your engineering degree or your corporate job or whatever it is to stop you any given time. And instead of waiting to wait for certificates, instead of waiting for anyone's approval, you just went ahead and started designing. That is
what I will recommend anyone. Just go ahead and do it. See, what I did was I never concentrated, okay, I'm going to become a designer. I never concentrated that. I just wanted to become good at what I was doing. I just merely stepped into design due to that. And I used my degree for my design. Mechanical engineering degree. For example, if anybody wants to step into design, they can use what they actually know or what they actually learning. So what people generally think is that they need their degree for their life. Nobody needs a degree for their life. See, whatever degree they are studying or whatever things that they study are all supplements to help what they want to pursue. For example, if I had wanted to become a creative photographer, I would have used my mechanical engineering degree to design rigs or something which will make me to take better photographs. See, that is how I use my mechanical engineering degree to do what I want to do. See, like the main course of thing is that how education has passed on is you complete mechanical engineering degree, you complete CS, you become an IT. You complete mechanical engineering degree, you go to a mechanical industry firm. You do this, you learn design, in NTTF or anything, NID, you become a designer in a car company. That is what people are thinking. No, it is not that. What you want to do, what you want to become, that is what actually passion is. See, another mistake what people do is they think, okay, boss, I think I don't like engineering. I think I like to do photography, so I'm dropping my engineering and I'm doing photography. See, you can see millions of people doing this who are dropping something to do something on that passion, with literally zero or to no response. Only a few succeed. Everybody thinks is that those few succeed, so okay, I can also succeed. But nobody knows what is the success secret or success mantra of those who succeeded. The main fact is, I'm very well confident that if I wanted to become a photographer, I would have become a very famous photographer or a creative photographer. I would have designed rigs and everything, which would have made me, like with gyroscope and everything, which would have made me to easily shoot the most complex stuff. I would have designed my own drone to take complex stuff. I would have, come up with mechanisms to illuminate and everything to make me do light photography, different kinds of light photography and everything. Like I'm confident of what I'm doing. So I'm trying to use my mechanical engineering knowledge for enhancing the photography. For example, if I'm a CS designer, like CS engineer, computer science engineer, and I'm into photography, so what I would have done is I would have made a software which can automate certain, basic functions of editing or basic functions of doing something. So that will enhance my photography career. So that is exactly how you're supposed to do, use education. You're not supposed to think, okay, if I study this, I will get this job. If I do this, I will get, no, you won't get anything. Those kind of jobs that you get, that job, if you get fired from that job, if you get laid off from that job, you will not be able to make a career at all. So what you should be doing is, you should be using what degree you learn to enhance what you really love. See, the world will be an amazing place if people started to do what they love, instead of being forced and instead of being, brainwashed to do something like that. Instead of being brainwashed that if you finish this degree, you will get this job. If you do this, you will get this thing. If you do, see, everybody follows a template. This template thing is what, it is ugly. It's totally ugly. That's exactly what is to blame for the education system. Everybody is telling education system is like down. We need to adopt Finland's education system. We need to adopt US education system. No, our education system is what had brought upon Sir C.V. Raman, Abdul Kalam, and all Ratan Tata and all other like eminent personalities. Everybody studied in Indian education system. They didn't go and study somewhere else for the primary education system and they brought something new to us, right? So what I feel is that it is about how you take what education is going to do to you. That's exactly what I feel, that which can make a very big impact for anyone who is pursuing any degree or any sorts of education. Use that education or use that degree to fuel what you want to pursue, what you actually want to do. So because engineering is not a thing like, it is not something which is opposite to medical, opposite to medicine, opposite to doctor. That is what they think. Doctor, medicine, doctor, engineer. No, they all coexist. Doctors cannot do a surgery or anything without the complex precision instruments which are made by engineers. Right? So like everything are similar. So this is what I wanted to many people to learn, or many people to actually know, so they can further their career. So like I have seen hundreds of people asking me career advice. So what should I study next to do this? So like I never answer those questions at all. I never answer those questions. I'm the least bothered guy who can give you that advice. They ask me, okay, so if I do PhD, will I get this job as such as this? So I don't view PhD as that. See, I view PhD as people who had so much immense passion on that subject that they wanted to do more research and they committed their lives to do innovation in that subject. That is what actually a PhD is. Now, in my eyes, in this observation, in this perspective, every PhD holder will have a respect. But at the very moment I see one PhD guy there doing namesake PhD and doing nothing, no research in his field, getting a copied work done, getting work done by someone else just for that doctor, DR thing before their name, that is where I lose the respect. You see, I think that is what holds good value for any engineers who are there also.
I completely agree. And I mean, so I fortunately have a sort of a background in industrial engineering and management, and the part which you mentioned about manufacturing design, how that's a huge gap.
Wow.
I meet a lot of aspiring industrial designers who have not attempted a single aspect of design. Guys, look, when I'm interviewing you, you know what? I only look at the resume to find out your name. Apart from that, the only question I am asking is, what is your sense of design? What are the projects you have attempted? I don't care if you were successful or not. I want to understand the thought process behind it. I want to understand whether you understand a process, a flow. And you know what? I'm 100% sure Jason is a design professional. Any other company is looking for such design professionals. They are not looking for the number of degrees you have, the number of certifications you have, how many CAD center visits you have done. Because the crazy part is Autodesk has made all their software tutorials available for free on their website. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely, free for 3 years.
Exactly. The software is free. The training material is free. So I am very, very surprised when I see aspiring industrial designers not having attempted an industrial design, not having tried a simple project. Forget about physically, not even on the computer. I mean, that just blows my mind.
See, everybody they ask me, like, see, as a CEO of an industrial design company, in my early stage, like instead of the HR, I started like I was doing the interviews in the beginning. So when I did the interviews, when I open up positions for industrial design position, everyone will be coming with lots and loads of huge papers of sketches, beautiful sketches they would have drawn in pencil shades, they would have highlighted it, and they'll like, give it to me. So I can do this, I can do this. They ask me like, I tell them all of this is worth nothing in the industry. I'll just put it in the company. Worth nothing. Literal zero. Take a client project. What are you going to do with the sketching? Nothing. If you can actually, like, what I actually expect from these people is that, can you do a case study on how a car design is done, on this design? Can you do a case study on this bonnet design? Can you come up with a design thinking strategy on how to design a better bonnet? I'm not expecting good, creative sketching skills from you. I can get any artist commissioned who can do this for me. Like that is why
Absolutely.
the softwares are there. You can do conceptual design in less than 30 to 40 minutes. You can get a 3D model itself. You would have taken hours and hours to sketch, 3 to 4 hours to come up with some like different side shapes of things. But like that is why I never teach sketching at all. Industrial design, that was like completely different way. Industrial design professors is like, you're not teaching sketching. That is the basic of design. I told that is the ultimate, waste thing that is on sketching. Similar to how we have an appendix. That is the appendix of industrial design. That is what I tell you. That appendix that we have in human beings, that is the appendix that industrial designers have. And I tell them that is the first surgery I do for any industrial designer stepping into prototype. I cut off their appendix. I don't wait it for that to get infected and then I have to do an operation. As soon as they come in, I just cut it open and I nip it off. Nip the sketching stage off. Because that's such a waste of time thing that comes off. Because you're not doing anything with that. It is not going to make a product, successful in the market. It is not going to help in any way of making it manufacturable. The only way, like he will say, like, I've done beautiful sketching, I'm happy with what I've done. No, you don't deserve to be happy with what you have done. You deserve to be happy with what you have done if you see the car which you have designed. That is, you take any concept design cars that have come, there will be a huge difference between the original design sketch with what the industrial designer gave and the final car which the engineer made.
Absolutely, yes.
Like huge difference because of this bridge. So like that is exactly what I wanted to take it off. Like unnecessary thing. It should be nipped off in the mud. What's the sketching process? It exists only for collecting all the information that you have in your brain and just put it in a rough sketch. That's it.
Exactly. So if anyone knows about how writing works, for example, where you just have something called as a brain dump, meaning you just type out everything going on in your head. Sketching is something similar to that. That does not actually result in something final. Absolutely. But anyway, we have a participant who has raised a question. Kirutika, can you just unmute yourself and ask your question? I'm sure Jason will take up the question. Kritika, are you here? Okay, so I guess she's not able to ask the question. Let's move on. Let's go to the chat. We have some questions for you here.
Sure.
Okay, so one good thing is a lot of people are really enjoying your career journey. A lot of them are telling very impressive, sounds cool. But yeah, let's take up the first question. So Sunil Kumar Patil asks, after engineering in mechanical, I took a 2-year course on product design in PG School NTTF. Okay. How should I deal with the current situation as I will pass the course in 2 months? Interesting question by Sunil. So what do you think, Jason? What's your answer for him?
You don't have to worry about whether you will pass or not, or whether you will, if you are going to, if you think that your career in design depends on the placements that is provided in NTTF, you have a 50-50 chance of getting placed or being not without a job. What I will recommend you to do is, if there are no freelance projects that are around you which you can take, I will not suggest you to take any freelance projects right now, because that will hurt your reputation when you actually want to earn something, because you will screw up a lot in your first project. So what I would want you to do is take a societal problem that is around you, try to solve it by coming up with a product. So let it be a virtual model. That is more than enough. Make it as a case study. Present the portfolio in Behance. That is the first step which we can do. There are like lots of portfolio tutorials that are there, how to make a portfolio in Behance. You can just YouTube it, like YouTube search it. I don't think I can give you an advice on that. There are much more practical advices which are better than any advice that I can give. Make a portfolio, start like make continuously go on like making portfolios with case studies and everything. Target one product a week. You can come up with 4 to 5 products a month, and around 53 to 54 products a year. If you do that, you are on a pro level, man. You are on a professional level, which is equal to someone who did 10 years in design. 10 years of this, you will get so much amount of experience. It is very difficult if I'm telling you to design one product in 1 week. It is very difficult. Take a water bottle. Think of designing the water bottle in a different way instead of having the outlet in 90-degree perpendicular to the ground. Think of, making the outlet in such different ways such that it is easy for us to drink water without tilting our head all the way up and lifting up the hand all the way up. 1 liter bottle, it is easy. Think about 2 liter Fanta bottles, 3 liter, 5 liter oil cans and something like that. If you can make a groundbreaking design, Coca-Cola, see this design will be a huge hit. Even Coca-Cola or Fanta or any cool drinks company might reach out to you. I'm just giving suggestions. You can do that. So start concentrating on designing. Don't concentrate on passing the course, or don't concentrate on landing for a job. All of this will automatically reach out to you. You
Absolutely.
want I do remember. So after I started my company, there was a company from Hong Kong which reached out to me, which wanted me to move to Hong Kong, be their creative director. So they are product company. So like they were like, quit your company, you come as a creative director. We will help you settle all your finances and everything. We will help you to relocate. We will help you to move. We want you to come in-house and work as a creative director for designing our products, which I declined, stating that there are a lot of people who are like committed to us, and it is not just a work of mine, it's like teammate and everything. So that's why I'm telling you the value. See, in National Institute of Design, I think only 13 people go into National Institute of Design each year. One of the premium design institutes in the country. Only 13 people. Out of that, how many people do you think actually pass out from that? How many people do you think actually go into the company? See, world needs industrial designers in a huge span of time, but nobody, takes it up because everybody sees that as a degree. Nobody is keen to actually learn what they are doing.
So Sunil, adding on to what Jason just said, look, apart from your actual course, as he mentioned, you need to build up your profile from taking up freelance, say freelance project you may or may not get, but what you can do 100% is just start working on designs. Think of a problem, solve it with design. And what you can do is publish it on Behance. Say you're not good enough in terms of coming up with concepts, but maybe you're very good with your design skills. What I would say is go to GitHub and contribute to some open source projects.
Sure.
Trust me, you're going to get a lot of connections on LinkedIn and all these other platforms. Very, very easily, if you are a good contributor, the designers who create these projects on GitHub are also looking for design help like yours. They may end up reaching out to you. You never know how it works out. The point here is this.
Start making connections with other designers who are on the platform. The design is a very small community. I can say around 2,000 to 5,000 designers existing in all over the world. That should be the minimal amount. I know, because of the demand that is there. Compare the world's population and around 5,000 good designers that are around there. So
also, I have another quick suggestion for all the participants. Guys, look, industrial design, I am 200% sure there is someone or the other in your network, your cousin, your friend, your friend's father, your friend's cousin, who requires industrial design. At this stage, right, I would end up just giving it up for free just to add that to my portfolio. I would just work with them on a project, just send a WhatsApp forward to everyone that, hey, I'm an amazing industrial designer. Even if you're not, just reach out to me. I want to do some projects and just start working on design. So guys, we are doing a live stream right now. Do you really think this is our first live stream? On one day, we decided, okay, let's try a live stream, and we try to do it on our phone. And then later on, We started doing it and doing it, and now we can organize it in a more seamless fashion. The same way it's for design. The more and more you design, the better and better you will get. Correct me if what do you think about this, Jason?
Yeah, like it is 100%. 100% is the best thing that anyone can do. Anyone can start working on such things. You know, you don't have to worry about whether it will succeed, whether it will fail, or something like that. You just need to keep on doing that till you reach satisfied with what you're doing.
Absolutely. We have a question from Rahul. Rahul asks us, who do you look up for inspiration? So what's your answer for this, Jason?
Okay. So during my early years, I saw Dilip Chabria as inspiration for my design. Dilip Chabria, DZ Designs. DZ Design, it went bankrupt. It went off. I studied, and then I started researching why DZ failed, why Dilip Chabria, DZ Designs failed. And I figured out the answers for it, which I don't know if this is the correct platform to tell that also. Then the happy news is that DZ came, DZ Square. They have came out as DZ Square. They did a wide PR. I know they are rich with money. They did a wide PR, but the world ambassador design is they did. But I don't know how far it is coming up. But yeah, so Dilip Chabria was my initial, inspiration. But what I would say is have yourself as the inspiration. What you were yesterday. Try to make sure that you are, don't take up anybody else as a competitor or something like that. That is where you will exactly fail if you do that. So your only competitor should be yourself. What was I doing today? Okay. Now tomorrow I have to be much more productive and I have to learn much more than yesterday. That is my goal. See, if I do that tomorrow, I have bet my today's version. I have defeated my today's version. That is my competitor. Then I make a new competitor for tomorrow. That is myself, my old version. That is how you progressively you improve upon your skills and also as a person, professionally, as personally, everywhere. That is how you would improve. You don't make someone else as a competitor or something like that. Have yourself as your own inspiration. Just have yourself as your own benchmark. Create new benchmarks every day. Try to defeat the next day. That is what I would exactly suggest.
Wonderful. So Rahul has another question for you. Jason, can you talk about how much money there is in the design profession? Approx, how much does a junior designer make or will make with 1 to 2 years of experience? This is a very practical career question. So what do you say for this?
Okay, so I would say the common salary what a junior product designer might get in the States, US. So I have that as the standard salary all throughout the world. Even though in Europe people might pay you a little bit higher, I would say it is around, it is a 6-figure salary job in US. Being an industrial designer in any product company is a 6-figure in US dollars. I'm telling you in US dollars. It's a 6-figure dollar job. It's a very priced job. Not many get to become a designer. Like not many actually apply to become a designer. That is another thing. And not many get to become a designer. That is a very good thing. And the next thing what you do is what I'm telling it is for only an entry level. So the product that you design, if it creates a bigger impact, your value automatically improves in the company, so as your salary, all your perks and benefits. So it is not basically salary based. So if you are thinking that is in a job, that is what I'm saying in a job. So it works for any product company or any car design company or something like that. But most car design companies in India don't actually take designers. They take makeshift engineers from mechanical engineering colleges from tier 2, tier 3 cities, and they transform them into a CAD engineer. That is what design they do. That is why you see substandard designs in the Indian car field. That is why you see blocky cars everywhere. Like the big one is Mahindra. I will openly say it. I have said it to Anand Mahindra himself. The big culprit of this is Anand Mahindra. If you buy a 6 lakh car to 12 lakh car, he will make you feel guilty of why you bought that car. The only way on how you can be happy with the Mahindra car is only when you go for, a higher end range. Even that will be a copied design, which is like copy from this, copy from that, put it together. That is what Mahindra design is. But if you buy anything below 12 lakh, they will make you feel very guilty of why you bought that car. Every time you go to the car to open the door, you see the car, you feel a little bit guilty, you cry yourself, and then you go and start the car. That is how exactly the car design will be. You think you can go sit inside and cry comfortably? Even there, it will be much more worse than a bus conductor seat. That is exactly what will happen. that is exactly the state what happened in the Indian car industry. So like it happens from place to place. Like I wouldn't blame them. They were not able to properly find proper design people out there. So that is one thing. And another thing is some companies might not be able to afford industrial designers at all. So they can't afford the salary and all. So that is another major culprit. Other than that, industrial design, being an industrial designer, it depends on the salary. You can even command most industrial designers, they are adamant to stay freelance as a freelancer because they know they can command much more money as a freelancer than as a person who is working in a job. So that is basically what it is not 1 to 2 years of experience or something like that. We do not calculate experience in terms of that. We calculate experience in terms of how many projects you worked on, how many case studies you have completed or something like that. That is exactly how you calculate, experience in design industry and not as a year. See, you could have been doing one project for 3 years. Working in a tidal power plant engineering design will go for 3-4 years. See, he will be a 3-4 year experienced person, but his experience is limited only to a tidal, a turbine design or something like that. Nothing more, nothing less. He is just like a designer within a well. So you should learn to choose projects and everything. So that doesn't matter at all. If you are telling this is number of years of experience that can go on. See, an industrial designer who works on 3-4 years in a turbine industry or something, he basically cripples his career. He basically narrows down what he can work on after this job has gone. This project is finished. If he has to go on for 6-7 things, okay, let's say that company is shutting down or something, he has to move to a different company. He cannot go and apply to other design companies with this experience because he has worked in only one project and that is limited to this design. All of his working conditions and everything else will be gone.
Absolutely.
So he can only go on for another energy company or a turbine manufacturing company or a similar company. His career path will become very shortened within a short duration of time. So you do not, get the experience in that sort of way, but the number of projects you have worked on.
Wonderful. Okay, I think that's a very interesting answer. So let's move on. We have another question from Saurav. Saurav asks us, we know there is a slack in the automobile sector, and after lifting this lockdown, there will be more unemployed. So how can we overcome this? There is more chance of starting our own business. How can we start on our own? Or, I guess he was asking if he were to start his own freelance practice, how can he go about doing it? So, Saurav, I hope I've understood this question right. So, what's your answer to this?
Okay. I don't know, who told that after this lockdown is done, automobile sector, the automobile sector, the slack in automobile sector didn't start because of COVID. It started way before COVID started. It started from, previous November itself, automotive industry started declining. So that is due to the disruption in the electric EV field, how electrical field is coming up. So you have to understand the correlation in the automobile sector. Majority of automobile companies do not produce all their products by their own. They have OEMs, original engine manufacturers, original engine components manufacturers, OEMs. So these OEMs are the people who supply everything from screw, nut, bolt to every parts and everything. Okay. So what if EV cars come and EV cars dominate? These OEM companies will go out of job. All right. So what these OEM companies will do is they will want to produce or manufacture new components for electrical industry rather than for mechanical cars. Right. So if automobile sector, if EV cars come, obviously there will be 6 to 7 lakh job losses within 1 or 2 months in India itself. Because see, Sundaram Fasteners, TVS Sundaram Fasteners is a big OEM guy who recruits so much of mechanical engineers. It will be shut down if they don't evolve. So all of these people are looking for ways to evolve themselves. They know what situation is going to happen. So because of this, production part is it is affected too much in the automobile industry also. And it is also due to various conditions that the government is also bringing, like BIS engine 6, 5, 4, 3, and etc. Like increasing the engine pollution rating. So for that also, automobile car companies have to stop their assembly. They have to come up with new modes of thing to reduce the pollution. So all of that is contributing to the downfall of automobile industry. But it won't remain the same. It is always a downhill, uphill climb all over the century from the days Ford came in the US.
I would like to add another thing. I also think that we have really shitty cars, which is why probably consumers are not buying so many cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, please continue.
The chances of starting your own business, I don't know. Like if you want to start a design industry, it is like it is not about you doing a design. I will say one honest thing is you can earn more as a freelancer rather than starting a design agency, because most of the people why they fail is that they fail to put the proper structure, proper business structure as to who should do this, who should do what, how should to collaborate, how to collaborate, who's going to talk to the customer, who is going to take care of the reviews, who's going to do the iteration, who's going to do the final submission and delivery. That is like a huge part which you do. If you are a single man person, I would say start your freelance career by just working on society problems for 1 year for free. Do it as your own personal passion. Do that and build your portfolio in any media. Then start, get this as a thing. You can start working in Upwork. Upwork is a very good freelance platform to start. They have very good industrial design projects to work on if you have a good portfolio. From there, you can start your first freelance career. Once you have done that, you have made a name in the industrial design background. You can make your own website. You can start doing designs from other people also. You can become a consultant. You can grow in that way.
Absolutely. And guys, I mean, adding on to what he just said, the things which he mentioned, platforms like Upwork and all that, they're completely free to start off with. You don't have to shell out a single penny, and you can probably start getting inquiries if you have a beautiful profile. So please don't look at the traditional paths where you're trying to get into a very simple job, because as he mentioned, at least in design, getting into a very fixed job may actually be a bad thing for your career, because you don't have a varied skill set. You don't have varied projects. But yeah, I hope this answers your question. So next we have a question. Sai Shravan asks, what's your take on Dataram's design principles?
Okay, Dataram is a very good industrial designer who did no nonsense industrial design. This was like very simple. A knife's job is to cut. He designs it for cutting. As simple as that. That is how it does. A fork's job is to, like pick up food and put it in the mouth. He does that. As simple as that. That is how he designs. No, nothing on aesthetics, nothing on the shape, nothing. What it is supposed to do, it will do. If a ring's job is to go and sit in the finger, it will go and sit in the finger. It is known as no nonsense design. I would say you should learn on Dataram principle, then come to any forms of aesthetics or anything. Those are all secondary. You cannot make a design as functional as possible. It is literal waste. But what actual industrial design course right now are doing is they are concentrating so much on the form and the design and the aesthetic shape and everything, even colors, rather than what the functionality should be.
Absolutely. So next, we have another. I think this answers your questions well, and I myself am a big fan of Dataram. So as he said, I mean, absolutely minimal functional designs. Rahul has another question. How can someone interested in making a career in product design start with making a portfolio? Can you give examples of some projects you have done to start your portfolio?
Okay.
So Jason, what's your answer to this?
One project which I have done. So I designed, an apparatus which can pick, dirty stuff from manholes, from sewers, instead of people going inside, getting asphyxiated, getting choked out due to the toxic fumes and everything. There, like so many people are dying due to that, and politicians are making it an easy way to change it into a caste-based issue and strike. Like they are using that as a big issue. So my main focus was to make sure that these people don't even go into that and do it. So my main goal was to make sure that job is made as white collar as possible. My main goal when I designed that was the person who is operating that, you should be able to go with a clean white spotless shirt with a tie and everything, with shoes and everything, go operate the machine in a very fashionable way, remove all the dirt with such dignity and come from that place. There's nothing. Say it is just another job. That is how exactly I wanted to complete it, and that is exactly how I did the design. So this is how this is one way, a good way of starting with your portfolio. Think out problems that are around you. There are a ton. Think of okay. So I will tell you something. You have seen Pringles, right? You have seen Pringles. Everybody are eating Pringles. How are you taking the chips out of Pringles? They are the worst design period, worst design ever. So what I generally do with Pringles design is that, so whenever I eat Pringles, right? So like I wish my physical trainer doesn't see this video because he will hit me with Pringle. What I do is that, so I take a sheet of paper or a card, like thin cardboard or something. I open the Pringles, I insert it there, all the way there. I I insert it all the way there, shift the Pringle, box carton in this way, and pull this paper out. All the chips will be easily stacked. You can eat it cleanly and everything. Okay, so come up with it's just a packaging design solution, the smallest solution that you can ever have. If you see for example, if you see your respective spouse, okay, so if you are a husband who is seeing your wife working in the kitchen for long periods of time, or if you are a wife who is seeing your husband working for long periods of time in the kitchen, and if you are a son or a daughter who's seeing their parents, mom or dad, working for a long time in the kitchen, if they are standing, working for everything, obviously it will, cause huge pain for whoever who's doing that work by standing. Think of a way where they can sit and cook, sit and move, like sit, cook and move, and try designing a simple solution, try manufacturing a simple solution based on that. That is a sample problem to take. You can start taking problems like silly, small problems around you and start solving it. Make it a case study. Make it as a story how you did it. What are the inspiration? What are all the food, another inspiration which you took to make this design? How you did the design?
Absolutely.
The design file, everything. Upload it in Behance. As simple as that. Makes a good portfolio. Behance, it is not something like Instagram where only your followers will be able to see. It is broadcasted all over throughout the entire Behance platform. And if people really like it, it will become a hit. That is how you are supposed to make a portfolio. Start working on it. See problems that are around you. Start solving it. As simple as that. Start collaborating with people for free to do design with them. All NGOs. See for example, if you are a pet lover, see what whether think of creating a easy to create a pet shelter which can accommodate pets. For example, rainy season or something like that. An expandable shed or something like that. Think of that. It's a very easy problem to solve. Collaborate with the NGO to design and everything. Probably the NGO will find someone to fund for manufacturing it. If they manufacture it, take it inside your portfolio. Show it. Whatever you have designed, it's a successful product which has been manufactured. A great value addition. 95% of designers, they won't have a portfolio which can be manufactured. That's a great value addition. See, you're getting every value from everywhere. They are adding value to your portfolio. You do it for free to them. It's like a barter kind of system. Until you build your status to a way that you are heavily respected and people can successfully, they will invest any amount of money in you, whatever you ask, without batting their eyelids. Nobody has to ask questions like, can you solve that problem? Like, what confidence do you have to solve it? No questions asked. Go and see my portfolio. That's it. That's exactly what I want you guys to do. Don't wait for the career to come to you.
Absolutely. And guys, adding on to his answer, I mean, it's very simple. Pick up problems around you and publish your solutions. The best part is you don't have to wait for a publication to publish your solution. For free, you can post it on Pinterest, on Behance, on YouTube, the entire process, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, everywhere. Publish your solution so that people start noticing you. And once you get good, right, you will know because people will really tell you that, hey, you're really good. So let's move on to the next question. We have 4 more questions. Sai Shravan asks, is prototype open to freelancers? So very interesting question from Sai. What's your? So I guess for this question, Sai, you can actually connect to Jason later on. You can connect him on LinkedIn. You can probably talk to him directly. Gokul asks, can you share the purpose of learning and the way we apply universal principles of design as a product designer?
Come again? Can you please ask the question again?
So the question is, can you share the purpose of learning and the way we apply universal principles of design as a product designer. So
Okay.
I guess he's just asking, how do you apply some basic principles of product design into actually designing something?
For that, you have to go on with learning about applying principles of design thinking strategy before you start designing a product. So you can search about design thinking or sign up for my another webinar which I have on principles of design thinking. I think Yogi can help you with that. And probably if you sign up for that, I'll be teaching you. That's a huge topic, man. That's a 1 week long topic you're asking me to answer. By the way. It's
Wonderful.
You learn about principles of design thinking, what you should learn, what and all data to collect and everything before starting a design. You can easily do that.
So
Oh my goodness.
We have another
Okay.
point. Getting lack of sleep and being groggy most of the time is common for an industrial designer. And how do you deal with it?
Right question to ask Jason, man.
Wow.
He doesn't
Right
sleep only.
question to ask.
Do you actually see me? Like all the people who are there, can you actually see how I look? Actually.
Yeah,
Man, like,
absolutely.
this, trademark look of a designer, man. No worries about how they look, about how they do, nothing. We need a a future spouse or someone who can actually take care of our physical appearance and everything.
not going to happen, Jason, that way then.
That's exactly what I'm telling, right? See, like when you think about design, when you think about something, see, I usually prefer working in the night because I have a huge window right next to me. But when it comes to darkness, there will be not a single light will be there. I have a reserve forest 2 kilometers away from my home, so I will have a pin drop silence here. Near to me is an industrial design area, not design area, industrial manufacturing area. And so it is complete silence, no lights, not even street lights in the dark. So I like the ambience because it gives me a clear vision, it gives me fresh air and everything for me to think. Decide your own place to do that. So it can be a daytime or nighttime also. But daytime, I'll have my mom, bringing me food. She will give me food to eat. She will do it like as if I'm a kid because I'll be so engrossed in doing some design or something like that. So stuff like that happen, man. If you are going to be a designer, I don't think you are going to get sleep. The longest I have been without sleep is 116 hours, 114 hours to be exact. Nearly a
Oh my
week.
God.
By the way, Nikhil, is that a world record or something?
No.
No.
I don't know. World record or something.
That's close, but that's definitely close.
See, I did that when I was working with Fortune 500 company, was one of our clients. So when we were working for them, it was a very big project that was going on because I was troubleshooting one major thing. So I had to work on, so it was a complete marathon of me, not sleeping at all. See, the main problem was I didn't get sleep. Okay. It's not like I wanted to sleep and I was focused on work. It was like I didn't get sleep at all. Because
Enjoying the work.
Absolutely.
my brain was working. Even day before yesterday, nobody slept. I thought next day webinar 11 o'clock it is happening. I should not fall asleep during the webinar. I should go and sleep at least 4 a.m. 4 a.m. one person is calling me, sir, I have this doubt in design, how to do that. Gone. Sleep is gone. The plan of me going to sleep in a secluded bed is gone. Completely gone with that one ring sound. And I again started working. No sleep at all.
So,
Totally.
guys, if you had any questions of how a future in industrial design would look, it's right in front of you. So, next, the final question for today's session, although we have overshot by 10-15 minutes, the final question is by Prem. Prem asks, he's interested in being an automobile designer. So, very quickly, if you had, what should he do? Like, very simple. What should I do? That's his question.
You studied mechanical engineering and you want to become an automobile designer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't know nothing about automobile engineering.
Yeah.
So what will automobile engineering students will do? They will go and design something else. I don't know.
Same, I don't know if this is the answer you wanted, but this is the
I was
answer you
just
got.
making fun. What I would want you to do is, before stepping onto automobile design, learn more about cars. If you take one single car to learn, you can learn, about crumple zones, safety zones, forging techniques, welding techniques, about metals, how metals react when they are under heating process, cooling process. You can learn about, sheet metal. You can learn about design for manufacturing. You can learn about design for assembly. You can learn about how electronic circuits will be working along with mechanical design, how it should be held within a mechanical holding device. You would learn about engine working of an engine. You will learn about heat dissipation. You will learn about thermal expansion. You will learn how boundary layers work, how aerodynamics work, where to keep the spoilers. You will learn about how lighting works, where to place the headlamps exactly. Man, you will complete a whole course if you will complete 10 years worth of automobile research in PhD if you start learning about one car. Take one car,
So,
learn about it, you would have mastered automobile design.
Oh, thanks a lot, Jason,
So,
for
I mean,
answering that for sure.
this is a very, very, actionable, practical answer, because trust me, when you go around asking other people, they would have given you a very stupid answer, which would say, do this course, take this degree, then do all the circuits. For doing what Jason told, immediately after the end of this call, you can actually start working on it. I mean, you don't have to wait.
Totally.
So, Jason, I think it was an absolutely incredible session. Guys, you can connect with Jason on LinkedIn. His profile is shared in the in Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, everywhere in Career Shack.
Instagram, I'm more active, more personal one-to-one.
Guys, just one thing. Okay, there is one statement that we all missed out. There is a student called Rahul Bharadwaj who's telling you a statement. Okay, he's like, thanks for answering my questions, Jason. You are a golden man. So this is a compliment for you for sure. And now look at Rahul Bharadwaj's problem statement. He's saying the problem statement that I'm going to work on, lack of spouse. Okay, the solution is gonna design a spouse for Jason. This is only for Jason, okay, not for others. And then he's also added saying that I'll create a mood board having photos of Jennifer Lopez and Scarlett Johansson. I hope Jason's okay with those ideas for sure. Jason's available for a personal one-on-one discussion on as a client, what is his requirement for sure.
I'm afraid. See, if
on a fun note for sure.
See, if you had just told in the mood board, I'm going to have only Jennifer Lopez, or if he's told I'm going to only have Scarlett Johansson, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm just afraid if that hybrid is something like, a monster which is being created. That is what I'm actually afraid of.
Hope things don't happen.
Great.
Fingers crossed for sure.
No,
yeah, I think this was an absolutely incredible session. I mean, I was completely blown away coming from an industrial engineering background. But yeah, this is extremely informative, guys. The very practical advice which Jason has given is something which is very, very actionable, which you can take up immediately after this call. You don't have to wait for anyone's permission. You just need internet and a smartphone or a laptop, and that's it. You can just start. You know what's even more crazy? You may be thinking that you'll need some crazy fancy system. Because of Autodesk Fusion 360, you don't even need a fancy system. You just need a decent laptop which can run a cloud application. So guys, please take steps, take action. That is the takeaway from this session. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. We'll of course have the recording of this available in our Career Shack YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. So don't forget to check it out. Jason, any parting words to our participants before we end the session?
Parting words. Man, think design, do design. Those are the 4 words that I will tell you. And you will become like me. As simple as that.
Wonderful.
I mean, so, physical appearance. Nothing
I guess this is a fairly incredible session. Thanks a lot, Jason. Guys, again, any questions, please don't forget to connect to him, as he said, on Instagram. So on Instagram, how do they follow you?
I'm sorry, if there are any professionals here who wanted me to come and sit with a suit, tie, like answer things very professionally, I'm very sorry. Even if I turn 50 years or 60 years, I'm going to remain the same way. You won't know what I wear here. You don't even know whether I wear something down here. That is how
let's just we're going to edit that particular part. No one heard that.
Exactly, that's how we roll.
I think, Jason, what stood out for me in all this time is that you came across as a very normal person doing extraordinary things. I think that is essential for people to understand, because we associate a lot of good work to something very external, right? The passion that you have towards your work, I think that is what has given you so many successes in life. And I like the fact that you didn't really go with the system trying to blame it and say this is how college is, this is how courses are, this is how teachers are. and these are I am limited because of these limitations. I think you broke every available rule and every available ceiling that is there, and I think that is what makes us successful in life. And I think you also did it the right way, trying to get people along your journey that stayed with you, collaborated with you, gave you opportunities wherein you could exercise your intelligence. I think these are skills that we also need to pick up, and they are useful in every career that we can see, right? Another thing that I observed was you made it so enjoyable. I mean, the joy of being who you are, it was so evident. And if we all did whatever we did with this much passion, I think we all will be successful and happy. And remember, I spoke about the happiness index. You definitely have a high quotient of it. So I think this is everybody on the group on this, webinar here. I think this is what we need to understand, that it's not about the salary, it's not about the money, it's not about how many years you took, or it's not about how many achievements you have or awards you have or whatever. They will come. There's no option for them but to come. If you are very sure about what you want to do and you are putting in your best effort and you're doing it because you love it. So I think we should just remember that we do what we love, and whatever we love, we should do it. Right? So thank you so much. I think I enjoyed this session.
Absolutely, same here. Yeah, great. So thanks a lot. We've overshot by almost 25, 23 minutes, so I can see Yogi.
I didn't, I had a meeting by 7:30, but I didn't know the time passed at all.
It's 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock right now.
Yeah, they messaged me now, and I told.
That is love and passion for what you do.
Totally.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Absolutely incredible having you here. So guys, don't forget, we will catch you up again tomorrow. But yeah, you can connect to Jason. Jason, very quickly, can you just tell your Instagram handle so that everyone can reach out to you?
Okay, _Jason Samuel, JASONSAMUEL. So that is where my Instagram ID is. Even though it's a private account, you can give request. I will accept it. Not an issue.
Perfect.
Done. Chalo. Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye bye.